be more than human. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Joseph Carroll. I write under the pen name J.R. Carroll. And today you asked for it, so I deliver Hounded, the first book in the Iron Druid Chronicles. Ever since I ever went online and told people that my favorite book series is the Dresden Files, over and over again, it was, gotta read the Iron Druid then. You gotta read the Iron Druid. And I wanted to get, when I first started this channel, I wanted to get some of, series that I have already been reading. I wanted to kind of get some of those out of the way, get some of these big books that everybody reads, kind of get some of them under my belt. And I was like, well, once I do that, I'm gonna get to the Iron Druid series. And I think in my 2023 planned video, this was one of the book series. I was like, I'm definitely gonna start this series. And I always had in the back of my mind, okay, I can start this series anytime. There's like 10 books, so there's it's a good long series, but all the books are relatively short. And I was like, so I can just snap through these books if I'm interested in them. And this has been a thing. If you're interested in urban fantasy, this is one of the books. So I was like, okay. Well, we'll get into this. I knew a little bit about it. I think I had actually watched Daniel Green's review of this like 2 years ago or something. And I was like, okay, he seemed, more on the positive aspect of it. And I was like, I'll give it a shot. And, if you haven't read this book, basically what it is about is a 2,000 some year old druid who is living in Arizona, right outside of the university in Tempe, and he is kind of trying to lay low because apparently out in that area, not a lot of like fairies and stuff, or like some of his biggest enemies are fairies, and they can't really access that area because it has something to do with like woods and stuff like that, and there's just not a lot out there. So he's just kind of chilling, running his apothecary shop, and he brews these teas for old people that make him kind of revitalize them a little bit. But as you could imagine, that can't be the whole book, right? This isn't a cozy fantasy book, so the shit's got to hit the fan. And it doesn't take too long for that to happen. And one thing in this book, not a lot surprised me. And I'm one of those people who doesn't really look for anything. If you've watched any of my videos, when I'm reading a book, I am not trying to figure out what's going on. I'm not trying to figure out the twists and the turns. I just kind of let things happen. But in this book, it was pretty obvious what was happening. I believe this might have been his first published book, but his writing was solid. I would tend to think that he probably has some kind of writing background, whether he went to school for it or not. Because the writing, technically, solid, especially for an urban fantasy. But like I said, none of the things, none of the twists or turns really snuck up on me. It is heavily influenced by the Dresden Files. There is no doubt about it. I think the first book came out in 14, so Dresden had been going on for 14 years by the time he got this book out. So you can definitely tell that he was heavily influenced by the Dresden Files, and even some of the supernatural, the way supernatural things feel. It just feels really, really Dresden Files, which is not a bad thing. But the one thing I did kind of have an issue with is like he felt so powerful right out of the gate. And some people now the stakes of this first book are not like world ending, kind of like Sandman Slim, which is another book that this gets compared to. This book centers around a sword that he possesses that a god of love, a Celtic god of love, wants to get his hands on, because apparently I don't know if he lost it in a war, 1,000 years ago or so. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're centering around. And the book's, like I said, the book's not a long book, so there's not a lot that he can throw in here. But he felt a little OP to start off with. Like he always had either the power in himself, or he had a trinket or something that always allowed him to defeat the bad guys. And he's going up against what you would seem to be fairly strong bad guys right off the bat. So I'm kind of wondering where we're kind of going to go from here, because like I said, in Sandman Slim, the first book is like world ending, so it's like how do you go from there? But I think Richard Catry did a good job of navigating after that first book. So I'm interested to see where Kevin Hearne, where he kind of takes this. For me, it was just a solid book. Nothing over the top great, nothing like terrible to say about the book either, which for some people they're just like, they'd be like, well, I mean, you don't want to be lukewarm on anything, but again, I am willing to give shorter books more leeway, like I did with Murderbot, where I didn't like the first novella, and then I've liked all the rest since then, because if they're short, I'll give you another chance. And I'm definitely gonna give I think the next book is Hex. But positives, he has an animal companion, is a Irish wolfhound, and he is hilarious. The snarkiness of our main character is really good. If you like a snarky character, he's gonna really fit that spot there. And you'll also have other like gods and goddesses that kind of come in, and again, short book, not a lot to flush out, but if the male gaze is a bad thing for you, this is probably not going to be your book, because he's just romping with anything, with all these gods and goddesses. So there is that. But let me know. I mean, have you read The Iron Druid? What did you think of it? Is this one that was told for you to read, since if you like Dresden, or if you like urban fantasy? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll see how far I continue with this. I would love to knock these. I should be able to knock these out by the end of the year if they keep me entertained. And remember, be more than human.